Okay, hi ladies, welcome to Unit 8 on evolution. Um, just want to let you know we don't have pre-created notes for you to take notes on this packet or for this unit. So get out a blank piece of paper, get out some loose leaf, whatever you want. You're really going to be on your own for taking notes for this unit. So if you need to go do that, go ahead and pause. And grab those materials now. Okay, so I wanted to start this unit with some questions as we usually do. So I wanted to continue with sickle cell disease since we just finished sickle cell disease, and it can really be used to answer. Sickle cell disease applies to genetics, it applies to protein production, it applies to meiosis, it applies to fertilization, and it's also going to apply to evolution. So the question is, why does sickle cell disease disproportionately affect certain populations? So if you notice in this slide, I have three different celebrities. This is T from the group TLC. I think it's T-Boz, I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. This down here is the rapper Prodigy, and this over here is Miles Davis. And in case you haven't recognized, all three of these people are African American. And then the people in our last example were African American as well. So why is that? Why is every example we've done of sickle cell disease involve people of African American descent? So we will be able to answer that question once we know how evolution works. Okay, so just to give you a little bit more about sickle cell disease, and all of these statistics are from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Right here, I have an image of taken under a microscope of a person that has sickle cell disease. So these are their red blood cells, and they've been stained to appear even darker under the microscope. This is a sickle cell, here, sickle cell, sickle cell, sickle cells, and they're misshapen. And then there's that family that we've been discussing. So sickle cell disease affects approximately 100,000 Americans. It occurs among about 1 out of every 365 Black or African American births. It occurs among 1 out of every 16,300 Hispanic American births. Let's move my little face over here. And about 1 in 13 Black or African American babies is born with the sickle cell allele. So only after answering why is this possible? Why do we see this more frequent abundance or more frequent instance of sickle cell disease in the African American population? Only once we understand how evolution works can we really explain that. So we're going to revisit this throughout the unit. Also, why is sickle cell disease common in geographic areas with malaria, meaning those areas that have malaria are also those areas where sickle cell disease is common. Okay, so if you look in this first map, what you see in these colors here over on the right is the frequency of the sickle allele. So when you see this capital HBS, that means what we were calling little a allele in the last unit. Okay, so we can see that the darker colors are where that allele is really, really frequent in the population, meaning 14.66% to 18.18% of the population have that allele. Doesn't necessarily mean they have that genotype or phenotype. It means they have that allele, because remember that people have two alleles for for hemoglobin. Okay, so lighter areas like these gray areas do not have the sickle cell allele. So it's really popular in parts of Africa and Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East, as well as India. Okay, so this is where the sickle cell allele is found. Now, in the bottom graph here, we see where malaria is common. So the gray areas are those areas that don't have malaria here in the US. A lot of, we don't have malaria in Russia. Okay, the darker green, that's the more frequent malaria is found. So you can see in Africa and South America, Asia, um, even parts of the Middle East over here, they're frequent in malaria, over, and as well as over here in Mesoamerica and Middle America. Okay, so we're going to see this figure later on in the unit. This is just a map of an area in Africa over here, and we see these red areas are areas where where sickle cell allele is present, so over here, and then where we have these mosquitoes, that indicates where malaria is present. So you can notice that these two areas overlap, where there aren't mosquitoes and when there is an area where there isn't sickle cell anemia. So we're going to answer why is that by the end of this unit. Also, when we look at people, why do people have different skin colors? We have all sorts of a variety, all gradations of skin color, from very, very pale people to very, very pigmented people. Why is that? Like, why do we have different skin colors? Evolution. Okay, one thing that Charles Darwin was really interested in, that's Charles Darwin over here. You're going to see him in your video today. Here's my good friend Charles Darwin. He's been my quarantine buddy. He's babysitting office hours on my phone to see if anybody pops into office hours. But he's lonely. No one came today. Okay, so let's look at this picture here. We've got this beautiful sunflower, beautiful primate, some kind of frog or toad, hummingbird, beautiful flower, some kind of Arctic bird. We've got a hare over here. Here we've got a Venus flytrap and a beautiful dragonfly. You can see that these are really, really different species. On the planet, there's a huge variety, a huge diversity of beings, of species. So how did that come about? Why do we have such amazing diversity? And that was a question that really puzzled people in the 1800s. And how did it come about? Evolution. Okay. Why are antibiotics becoming less effective? So you're going to see a little video, and here's Mr. Antibiotic, and here is Mr. Bacterium. And Mr. Bacterium is not being killed by the machete or the hatchet that the antibiotic has. So I'm not sure if you've heard in the news or just in life that you may get antibiotics and they're no longer effectively treating your your bacterial infection. So there are unfortunately people that are sick and yet no antibiotic is that we have available is actually killing the bacterium to make them healthy. And why is that? Well, you'll see a little video, and here's our good friend Charles Darwin again. We'll be able to answer that question by the end of the unit. Just to bring it a little bit more in touch with what's going on right now, how did the SARS-CoV-2, that's severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus, 2, because it's the second one, we think that it evolved from the other SARS virus. How did SARS-CoV-2 come about? And okay, so that's a virus, it's a coronavirus, it's different than COVID. COVID is the disease, right? SARS-CoV-2 is the actual virus that causes COVID. So where did that come from? You've been hearing that it started in China, and you've been hearing that it started in December. Where did that come from? Well, unless you understand about evolution, you really can't explain how did SARS-2 come about. It wasn't, put here by some magical creature to, end the world. So I'm not sure if you watched the video that I sent out at the beginning of our quarantine, but you will be required to watch it again as we go through this unit. So here's that parent virus, and then here's the this could be the mutant virus, the current SARS-CoV-2 virus, and it has to do with mutations. In fact, all of these examples that I've just mentioned have to do with mutation. So we'll learn about the role that mutation plays in evolution. How can different organisms make a green fluorescent protein that comes from a jellyfish? Let me move my picture. So this jellyfish right here makes its own green fluorescent protein. Well, what scientists have been able to do for a very long time now, actually, is take the gene that codes for that fluorescent protein, and they've been able to put it inside bacterium, and they've been able to put it inside plants. They've been able to put it inside this one, two, three, four. This is probably some kind of arachnid. And maybe this is, I'm not sure what that is down there. Maybe that is some protist or some algal species. Maybe some photosynthetic protist, who knows. But how can we make all these other organisms make a protein that's only found in jellyfish? Well, if you understand evolution, you can answer that question. Next slide. Next slide. The computer's decided to slow herself down. Okay, so what we're going to do today, we are going to look at the word evolve and evolution, and then you're also going to watch a 30-minute, I know, 30 whole minutes movie called The Making of a Theory up on YouTube. Okay, so I first want to ask you about what the word evolve means to you. So just take kind of a minute here to think about the word evolve. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it an adverb? Okay, so I just gave you an example here of something that can evolve. Here you see how advertising or the logo for different sodas has evolved over time. You can see that the way that the logo appears on each of these soda cans over the year has changed dramatically. Look at Crush from, what is that, 1954 or something like that. So you can see that logos change, packaging changes. You probably all had a favorite cosmetic or, I don't know, shampoo or something, and they don't want you to change brands just because they changed the bottle or the way the bottle appears. So they say, you know, same product, new look. So we can say that the logo or the packaging for these soda cans has evolved or changed over time. So that's what the word evolve means. Evolve is a verb. It means to change over time. So you can see that the logo or the packaging has evolved over time for soda cans. What else has evolved over time? Well, in my lifetime, I have gone from an object that looks like this to an object that looks like this. Here we have the evolution of cell phones. I don't even think they have a flip phone in here. I don't know why. But when I was a kid, my mom was a nurse. So she had a car phone that looked like this, and it only worked in the car. And you can see that clearly cell phones or, you know, mobile phones have changed over time. They've gotten better, faster, prettier, more functions. What else has changed over time? One more thing here. Kachinga. Okay, what else has changed over time? Well, we see the evolution of the alphabet, and I'm sure Miss Weber could teach you a lot more about this than I can, but you see we've got some kind of, I don't even know what this is up here, something Sinaitic, Phoenician, Greek, Latin, Roman, and then I guess finally here our modern Latin script, but our alphabet has changed over time. So hopefully this gives you examples, non-biological examples of evolution. Evolution itself is a noun, but evolve is a verb. So alphabets have evolved, advertising has evolved, cell phones have evolved, hairstyles, teaching styles, safety procedures, cars, all of these things have evolved. So today what you're going to do is you're going to watch and take notes on a short film called The Making of a Theory. And I love this movie. Yes, it's 30 minutes long. You can take it. You've got nothing else to do. Not really, but you've been watching lots of Netflix and whatever all kinds of shows you watch. So it's called The Making of a Theory, and you're going to kind of find out more about what is biological evolution, not evolution of cell phones or alphabets, but what does it mean in a biological sense? So from now on, when we say evolution, we're going to mean biological evolution. So kind of think about that question as you go through. I want you to take notes on the movie. So you're going to find out who Alfred Russel Wallace is. That's this guy over here. You're going to learn more about Charles Darwin, not just from what we do in my little video lectures here, but Charles Darwin, who's, everybody's favorite biologist, or most people's favorite biologist. And hopefully this is a really good introduction to evolution for you, and how we all got started, and why this is even a topic that we study in biology. And so you will watch this video, take some notes, and then down on Google Classroom, you are going to have, I think, a set of questions to answer. They're not long. I think it's like 10 questions. And so just complete that and resubmit that back on Google Classroom by the next class. Take care, girls. Bye.